But let's talk a little bit more about success, what success is in our view. So every single man, woman, child has an understanding of what it means to be successful. Doesn't have to be a Muslim, doesn't have to be the same culture or background as us. Every culture, every society, every single human being aspires to something they consider success. For kids, it may be getting good grades in school. For you, it may be getting a promotion or getting a bigger house or getting a better car. Whatever it may be, there is something in your head you consider success. And there are some people you look at and you don't even have to think about it. As soon as you see them, the thought that crosses your mind is, that guy is pretty successful. And a good personal experiment you can conduct to confirm this is, you're driving down a fancy neighborhood and you see a really beautiful house. Does your eye stay on it for a couple of seconds? At least a couple of seconds. Come on, let's be honest. Yeah. Because in your head, you're thinking that person has reached a milestone of success. Now, religiously, we can all say, no, Jannah is success, dunya is not success. But I'm not talking about what you say, what's on your tongue. I'm telling you what goes on in your head. And kids are a lot more honest than us, so let me do this experiment really quick on the kids. So, okay guys, so we're walking down the street and we see a guy who's homeless living in a cardboard box. And next to him is a gated mansion. Who do you think is more successful, the guy in the box or the guy living in the mansion? Exactly. See, there we go. That's an honest answer. The guy in the mansion is successful, and the guy in the cardboard is failure. The guy who graduated is successful. The guy who dropped out is a failure. The guy who won the election is a success. The guy who lost is a failure. We measure success and failure in these terms. It's normal. We all think like that. But we're learning something very, very radical in this surah. We are learning that all of these are not the measure of success or failure. Let's take some ancient examples. I don't know if you guys you've seen this, but on MTV they used to have a show where they used to show the celebrity cribs and all that stuff. I think all the kids have seen it over here, right? So think about this: who had the celebrity crib in the time of Musa alayhi salam? Abu Bakr. Where does Abu Bakr come from? Musa alayhi salam, right? Pharaoh, right? His house was huge. You could see it for miles. I mean, that is pretty good architecture. It's still around. And yet, is he an example of success? No, he's one of the biggest examples of failure. On the other hand, if somebody gets deported from a country, you would call that a failure, right? Right? So it's pretty embarrassing and humiliating, isn't it? Was Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam expelled, literally deported from Mecca? He was. If somebody doesn't have a home to live in, he has to live out in the woods. You know how there's a patch of woods between developments? You would call that pathetic, right? Didn't Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam live in a cave for a stretched period of time? He had to eat off of the shrubs, no plate, no nothing. And yet he is one of the greatest examples of success. If somebody gets kicked out of their home, they become homeless. And wouldn't you call that a failure? Right? You'd call that a failure? Ibrahim alayhi salam, does he get expelled from his home? He does. And yet one of the greatest examples of success in human history. What are we learning from these examples? We are learning that the way we think about these terms is not the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to think about them. And when we start rearranging our thinking, we learn something very critical about the society we live in. And all of this is the message of the surah, by the way. I'm not going off topic. This is still the topic. In this society, there are certain things that are defined as success, and you are told that this is success over and over and over again. In other words, the wrong definition of success is bombarded at you constantly. You cannot so much as turn your computer on and the banner ad will show you which kind of car you should get and which dealers provide you with the best discount or best rates. And going outside on the streets when you're driving, the billboard will show you what kind of a house you should buy, what kind of society you should move, what kind of community you should move into. Advertising in every way, shape, or form being pumped towards us. Among our elders and adults, even among our youth, what college you should go to, what kind of job you should get, which neighborhood you should move to. Constantly we're being told what is success, what is success, what is success. And even when something wrong is repeatedly exposed to you or told to you, you start believing it to be true. Everyone thinks it's success. I must be crazy to think otherwise. Just because nobody thinks like this, we have assumed that it's invalid. What we're learning here is that truth is not sweet. Truth is bitter. And I'm not talking about any change in action. I'm just talking about a change in attitude towards this worldly life. Now, to avoid confusion, I'm not saying this world is evil. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself mentions that whatever is in this world is created for us. Having wealth is not a bad thing. Having a nice car is not a bad thing. Having nice houses is not a bad thing. But if you think that is success, then you have failed. Having dunya is not the problem. Loving dunya is the problem. You can be very wealthy and still not be in loss. On the other hand, you can be really poor and still have this dunya in your heart, and you're still a loser. I will just end with this, one last comment. And I feel the message of this surah is so powerful and so critical that we all need to understand it. And this is a surah we all know by heart, but look at the tragedy of it and the irony of things, that whenever we're running late for shopping or we have to go to a party or we have to go play basketball, that counts me, and Salah's in the way, we recite that time is running out and we are in loss. Isn't that the irony? The irony of the whole thing? And we do this because it's quick and a short surah. So just a hit and run salah and you go, right? So I would just like to emphasize that this is the surah to understand, and it is at the heart of the whole Quran. In this surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that human beings are in a loss. Mankind is in trouble. Is that not the key message of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Yes, right? So when he came up on the mountain, did he not warn the people of the day of judgment, sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Yeah, he did. Did he not warn them of the danger that is coming? He did. That they are in loss? He did. That they're in trouble? Yes, he did. So this is one of the central messages of this book. And then there are 4 exceptions. First is Iman. Much of the Quran is talking about what? Having Iman, right? Second is good deeds. Aren't good deeds always tied in with Iman? Then there is the life and struggle of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is the 3rd and 4th conditions. So the entire manhaj, the methodology, the ideology of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is captured in these 4 words, in these 3 ayahs. Anywhere you study in the Quran, anywhere you study in the Seerah, anywhere you study in the Sunnah, you will find at least one of these 4 things. Either you will find Iman, or you will find righteous deeds, or you will find counseling or spreading the truth, or you will find patience, perseverance, consistency. You will find one of these 4 things all over the Quran or all over the Sunnah. It is the summary of the entire deen captured in a very, very few words. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all a comprehensive understanding of Surah Al-Asr and of the entire Quran. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us all to embed the message of this surah in our hearts and help us in communicating its message to others, especially in our family and relatives. Ameen. And thank you for all being so patient and listening to this. And hopefully everyone takes, some message home, something from this home, and tries to implement it in their daily lives. Ameen.